Hi guys, so I've been meaning to do this video for a little while, I just haven't really got around to it yet. Had a couple of days of just getting straight back from London, so I've been too tired. I've been reading a lot on the train, because I go to London for an internship now. I work for a charity called Sapphire Community Group, if you didn't already know, if you haven't been watching my videos. And I'm absolutely loving it. I've been there for a month, and I've got loads of different responsibilities. I'm a literature manager, so I'm running the department. I'm also working on the recruitment side of things, so I've been doing the job interviews and recruiting new people and stuff like that. It's really, really cool. Like, within a month, I've had so many different experiences. But yeah, so it just means I'm quite busy. Even when I'm working from home, I'm quite busy. But I have loads of writing to do, so I will do that soon. But for now, I thought I would just do a bit of a book review. So I've recently finished reading a requested review from an author called Sarah Mensinga, and it's a self-published book called Currently. It's a young adult like fantasy. I'd say it's more like, I think the author have classed it as steampunk, which kind of makes sense because it was very much set on like boats and like in that sort of kind of that sort of world. It's really, yeah, I really, really enjoyed the book. So I will go into a little bit now. So yeah, I've been reading it mainly on the train, so it's kept me going through all the underground and all the National Rail to London and back every day, or nearly every day, every time I go to London. Yeah, it's a really, really good book, and it's about a girl called Noreen. She's the main character, and she's a deep known as a deep lander, which is like someone that lives down closer towards the water. So you've got deeplanders and uplanders. Uplanders, or uppies as they're called, are known as like the higher like race, I suppose, like kind of they're richer and they're given a lot more like always given the priority basically, and deeplanders are seen as like the poor people, who are looked down on by the uplanders and things like that. It's very like hierarchical, I think it's patchy, that kind of world. But it's really, really good. I loved a lot of the world building. Like, all throughout the book, you go through, or Noreen goes through, so many different of these like cities that are all quirky and like completely different in their own ways. Some didn't really stand out that much. Some did. So Noreen had to kind of fight to get into this little like dystopian type kind of city that's run by the Uplanders, and she wouldn't have been let in, but then her kind of like grandmother figure, known as Gren, managed to get her in alongside her best friend's like parents, who's also like a Uplander, managed to get her in by adopting her because she was this like 8-year-old child that her mother was a criminal, so she wouldn't have been allowed into this like city because of her mother's past, which you don't really know much about. You just kind of know that she's a criminal and that's about it. But it gives you more chance to get to know Noreen rather than like her background or her family's background. So you focus on her character as she grows up. As they get older, she spends a lot of time with Gren. Gren becomes like her like main like carer, I suppose. Even though Sanday, her best friend's mother, is the one that actually adopted her, they're not allowed to have more than 2 children, and obviously she already has Sanday, so she has wanted a child and had been trying for a long time to have a child, so she ends up resenting Noreen because of this, her not being able to have this child that she so desperately wanted. She kept having miscarriages and all sorts of issues like this. So Noreen became her next child basically. And obviously she ends up resenting her for it because it's like she's taken that chance away from her because she wouldn't be allowed to have any more children. It was a way of like not having too many deeplanders, I think, as the idea. Very much like controlled society for them. So because they're seen as like, we're doing you a favour, we're rescuing you from like, I think it's like floods and things like that. There's a lot of like water down in those sort of areas, and they were rescued, and they have to obviously they can't stay completely underwater. So, but yeah, so that was like the first half of the book, and you get to know Sunday and Irene, and their friendship grows into a relationship, and unfortunately Noreen is set up with another gentleman to be married to him at like quite an early stage in this book, and it's like to be able to give her the fancy life that she should have had from the beginning, that sort of thing. But obviously she's always in love with Sunday, so who's technically become like her adopted brother, which is probably sounds dodgy, but you know, from where they're best friends and they've had this like friendship and relationship for a long time before becoming like that. So, but yeah, like it's so good. And then so you learn about their relationship and their friendship. This like husband to be is really like a kind character. He's really caring, but he's deeply in love with Noreen, and obviously Noreen's not. So there's issues there. Noreen's just struggling to find the passion and the love for him that she thinks she should have, because she's gonna marry this good guy, but obviously she's in love with Sunday. So yeah, she's got all that tension, and then Sunday tries to get them to like get these passbooks, which are basically like passports, to get on a boat and get away to this city called Eliva, I think. Which unfortunately doesn't work. And Sunday's mother finds out what they were planning, because they spent a lot of money trying to get these things in the first place, because they're very costly. And she basically says that I don't want you guys to run away. I don't want you to run off together. And she knows about the relationship, and she's never liked Noreen, and she doesn't think she's good enough for her son, and all sorts of issues like that. So she ends up burning the passbooks when they go out together. So that chance has kind of gone out the window. But there's a point where Sunday ends up going to this like other area. They get separated for a long time, quite a big chunk of the book, and the Noreen meets this character after she ended up basically like shunned out by everybody. She ends up being like looked after this lady for a couple of days, but she has to clean, and like she's basically like a servant maid for a couple of days just to get that room and that shelter. And then she finds this boat called the Trident, and she goes on it, and she ends up becoming the balance of a siren. So a balance is someone that can kind of calm the siren down and stop them from controlling everybody, because these sirens are known as like on land, like walking sirens. Like they can control people using something called Wavel. And if you're a balance, you're very hard to find apparently, because you have to be born at exactly the same time as that siren. So she actually just happens to be the balance for one of the sirens on the ship. But the thing is that she actually found this card for this boat in the first place, because this guy, this man, kept coming towards to Gren to try and get her to like, you know, take her away. But she ended up saying that Noreen was dead, because she was scared. She thought she didn't know what he was trying to do. And Noreen doesn't know her father, so she ends up thinking it's her father. And when she realizes on the the Trident boat, she realizes that this guy is holding all these different sirens, and there's a lot more like reasons behind it, which you'll find later on when you read it. I don't want to give you too many spoilers, but she actually becomes the balance for this girl called Melily, who is a bit stuck up and a bit stubborn and very like rude to Noreen, and for being a deep lander and you know, for eating like an animal and all sorts of, like, she's very like dresses well and loves her appearance and everything. Like, she's very, very rude character. But without spoiling it too much for you later on, they do develop a really good friendship, and they end up helping each other in ways that they probably wouldn't have done at the beginning, like saving each other's lives. So yeah, I don't want to tell you too much because I will ruin it for you, but really do give it a try. It's called Currently. It's a really, really good book. There were times when I thought that, like, on the negativity side of things, that Noreen wasn't quite as strong a character as I think she could have been. Like, she could have fought for herself a lot more. There was times when they were just like traveling, because they end up traveling on this boat, and the idea is that Lord Osprey, who is the guy that's taking all these sirens in, is controlling all these sirens, and getting them to like steal things for him and things like that. So Melanie has become very good at this, and so Noreen has to stand by her side at all times and become her balance, basically. And it's really, really well done. Like, the writing is really, really good. I gave it 4 stars, because it was really well written. It really kept me hooked in, even though sometimes it just felt like they were traveling from city to city and not much was going on. Other than that, like, there were a few really, really good, like, heart-wrenching bits, and like the ending was really, really good. I really liked it. You know, not everything's perfect, so you're always going to get times that you don't really like, that you have to give criticisms for, but that's just being honest in a review. That's just what I thought. But I did really like Noreen as a character, and through most of it she was really quite strong, and she did, it was really nice, like, with the world building and seeing like them traveling through all these different cities that were all completely new. And like I said, some of them just kind of went out of my head a little bit. They didn't really stick out that much, but some of them, but there were so many. But the relationships between all the characters, like, they meet this other siren called Cresset, who they don't actually realise is a siren, towards the beginning, but they later find out that he's a lot more connected to it than they thought he was, and that he was a very good trickster all along. He's actually like a pop star kind of singer that Melanie actually like fancies at one point, but he ends up getting closer to Noreen. But the ending's really good in that part as well. So I really, really love the ending, what happened at the end, right at the very end. But obviously I don't want to spoil the ending for you, so yeah, go and give it a read. And it's on Amazon, I think. Thank you to Sarah Mensinga for sending it to me. It really has made my travel journeys a lot more entertaining, rather than just sitting on a train and staring out at different people, which I do anyway. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed the book, and I don't know if there'll be a sequel. I hope there is, because it did leave a little bit of a cliffhanger as to what happened to one of the characters, so I'm hoping that I'll learn more later on. So yeah, but yeah, go and check it out, and thank you guys for watching. This video went on for a lot longer than I anticipated. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.